You won't create a style, because style is a crystallization, you know. I mean, that way, it's a process of continuing growth.
You talk about Chinese boxing. How does it differ from, say, our kind of boxing?
Well, first, we use the feet.
That's
and then we use the elbow. And
you use the thumb, too?
You name it, man. We
use it all.
You have to, you see, because, I mean, that is the expression of the human body. I mean, everything. I mean, you know, not just the hand. And when you're talking about combat, well, I mean, if it is a sport, now you're talking about something else. You have regulations, you have rules. But when you're talking about fighting as it is,
rules.
With no rules.
Not real fighting.
Well, then, baby, you better train every part of your body. And when you do punch, now I'm leaning forward a little bit, hoping not to hurt any camera angle. I mean, you got to put the whole hip into it and snap it and get all your energy in there and make this into a weapon.
I don't want to tangle you in any dark that right now. You came at me pretty fast there. What is the difference between Chinese boxing and what we see these young men doing at 8 o'clock every morning on the rooftops in the parks called shadow boxing, which they're always...
Well, actually, you see, that is part of Chinese boxing.
It is.
There are so many schools.
Everybody here seems to be, you know, going like this all the time.
Well, that's good. I'm very glad. I'm very glad to see that, because at least somebody is caring for their own body, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good sign. Well, it's a kind of a slow form of exercise, which is called Tai Chi Chuan. I'm speaking Mandarin just now.
Yeah.
Cantonese, Tai Chi Chuan, okay?
I see.
And it's more of an exercise for the elderly, not so much for the young.
Give me a demonstration. Show me. Can you do it, a little bit of it? Just so
I mean, hand-wise, it's very slow.
Oh, is it?
And you push it out, but all the time you are keeping the continuity going. Bending, stretching, everything, you know, suppose, you know, I mean, you just keep it moving.
It's like a ballet dancer there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, to them, you see, the idea is running water never grows stale. So you got to just keep on flowing.
Of all your students, famous, James Garner, Steve McQueen, Lee Marvin, James Coburn, Roman Polanski, which was the best, who adapted best to this Oriental form of exercise and defense?
Well, depending, okay? Now, as a fighter, Steve McQueen, now, he is good in that department because that son of a gun got the toughness in him.
Yeah,
I mean,
see it on the screen.
I mean, he would say, all right, baby, here I am, man. You know, and he'll do it.
Yeah.
Now, James Coburn is a peace-loving man.
Yeah, I met him.
Right? I mean, you've met him. I mean, he's really, really nice. I mean, super mellow and all that. I mean, you know, I mean, now, he appreciates the philosophical part of it. Therefore, his understanding of it is deeper than Steve. So it's really hard to say. You see what I'm saying now?
I see.
I mean, it's different. So that's, I mean, depending on what you see in it.
Interesting. We don't, in our world, and haven't since the days of the Greeks who did, combined philosophy and art with sport. But quite clearly, the Oriental attitude is that the three are facets of the same things.
Man, listen, you see, really, to me, okay, to me, ultimately, martial art means honestly expressing yourself. Now, it is very difficult to do. I mean, it is easy for me to put on a show and be cocky and be flooded with a cocky feeling and then feel like pretty cool and all that. Or I can make all kinds of phony things, you see what I mean, blinded by it. Or I can show you some really fancy movement. But to express oneself honestly, not lying to oneself, and to express myself honestly, now that, my friend, is very hard to do, and you have to train. You have to keep your reflexes so that when you want it, it's there. When you want to move, you're moving. And when you move, you are determined to move. Not taking 1 inch, not anything less than that. If I want to punch, I'm going to do it, man, and I'm going to do it, you see. So, I mean, so that is the type of thing you have to train yourself into it, to become one with the, you think?
Yeah, this is very un-Western, this attitude. I want to ask you about your movie and TV career, but first we'll take a break. Then I'll be back with Bruce Lee. I've been talking to Bruce Lee mainly about the Chinese martial arts, which include things like Chinese boxing, karate, and judo, which is what he taught when he was in Hollywood. After he left the University of Washington, where he studied, of all things, philosophy, if you can believe that. He did, but that, perhaps you understand why the two go together from the first half of this program. And you can perhaps understand how he got into films. He knew a lot of actors, but I'm told that you got the job on the Green Hornet, where you played Cato the chauffeur, mainly because you're the only Chinese-looking guy who could pronounce the name of the leading character, Britt Reed.
I meant that as a joke, of course. And it's a heck of a name, man. Yeah. I mean, every time I said it at that time, I was super conscious. I mean, really now, that's another interesting thing, huh? Let's say if you learn to speak Chinese.
Yeah.
And it's it's not difficult to learn and speak the word. The hard thing, the difficult thing, it's behind what is the meaning, what brought on the expression and feelings behind those words. Like when I first arrived in the United States, and I look at a Caucasian, and I really would not know whether he was putting me on, or is he really angry, because we have different way of reacting to it. See, those are the difficult things, you see.
It's almost as if you came upon a strange race where a smile didn't mean what it does to us. In fact, a smile doesn't always mean the same, does it?
Of course not.
Yeah, I just thought of that. Tell me about the big break when you played in Longstreet. I must tell the audience that Bruce Lee had a bit part, or a supporting role in the Longstreet series, and this had an enormous effect on the audience. What was it?
Well, you see, the title of that particular episode of Longstreet is called The Way of the Intercepting Fist. Now, I think the successful ingredient in it was because I was being Bruce Lee.
Yourself?
Myself, right. And did that part, just express myself, like I say, honestly express myself at that time. And because of that, I brought, favorable mentioning in, like, New York Times, which says, like, the Chinaman, who incidentally came off quite convincingly enough to earn himself a television series, and so on and so on and so forth.
Can you remember the lines by Sterling Siliphant, the key lines?
He's one of my students, you know that?
Was he too?
Yes.
Everybody is your student. But you read, there were some lines that expressed your philosophy. I don't know if you remember them or not.
I remember that. I said, this is what it is, okay?
You're talking to Longstreet, played by James Francesca.
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now, you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend. Like that, you see?
Oh, I see. I get the idea. I get the power behind it. So, now, two things have happened. First, there's a pretty good chance that you'll get a TV series in the States called The Warriors, in which you use, what, the martial arts in a Western setting?
That was the original idea. Now, Paramount, I did Longstreet for Paramount, and Paramount wants me to be in a television series. On the other hand, Warner Brother wants me to be in another one, but both of them, I think, they want me to be in a modernized type of a thing. And they think that Western idea is out. Whereas you want to do the Western, eh? I want, because you see, I mean, how else can you justify all these punching and kicking and violence except in that period of the West? I mean, in nowadays, I mean, you don't go around on the street kicking people or punching people. Because if you do, that's it. I mean, I don't care how good you are,
But this is true also of the Chinese dramas, which are mainly costume dramas. And they're also